Welcome to episode 99 of Not Just Games, I'm Joey. Initially, I wanted to talk about the real-life stories of the new operators in Rainbow Six, just like before, but I can't, and then you know why. Recently, the operators have begun to have fictional background. As for the two new operators, one of them is from a completely fictional space development organization in Europe, while the other is more direct and without fabrication, a wild and unaffiliated operator. When I found out about this, my first reaction was, I can't make anything up anymore. Some will you surely ask, since they don't have a corresponding unit, then why can't you talk about the other teams in their countries? I thought so too, but I can no longer do it. For example, this operator from Holland. Holland has a rather famous special support unit, BBE, but for some reason Ubisoft chose not to use this unit and instead created their own fictional organization, hence my frustration. What if after I've talked about the BBE, Ubisoft decides to make an operator from the BBE? Wouldn't I look foolish? In this new season, the moment I saw the lady from Holland, I thought I was looking at Eva. This season has no update concerning the map. The Jordan operator made me feel as if I was watching Naruto. The abilities of this ape-flying Asuma was also rather ridiculous. The only thing that I feel this season did so well was their BGM, and everything else, meh. Thus in this episode I've decided to talk about what's actually wrong with the new operators. Based on the early years, the Real Machine demo and CG animation, it seems Rainbow Six Siege wanted to have opposing sides battling each other. But later, Ubisoft turned this game into one with operators of unique traits. They also gave every special operator their corresponding abilities. Through this, every operator now is fresh and interesting and has more stories. This important change undoubtedly saved Rainbow Six Siege, turning it into an excellent piece. Through subcultures like cosplay, animation and emojis, the characters in-game had also gained fame. For example, many non-players from China are now familiar with terms like the Fuse meme, Revolver Dog, etc. This game attracted more popular and new players, allowing Ubisoft to discover a great profit point. Now let's look at the planned updates for this and next years. This year, there will be battle passes just like in Fortnite, League of Legends, PUBG and Apex. This also allowed many game manufacturers to find a new profit point and method to increase user stickiness. In Year 5, two new operators joined the first season with an overhauled Oregon map. In the second season, two new operators with an overhauled house map. In the third season, one new operator with an overhauled skyscraper map. In the fourth season, a new Thai operator with an overhauled shallow map. This means there are only 6 new operators this year and no new maps. Ubisoft was also self-aware and decreased the price of the season pass to 98 RMB. As for next year, they'll only release 1 new operator per season, meaning only 4 new operators. Ubisoft aims to release 100 operators based on the previous pace of 8 operators per year. The game can be updated for several more years, but this is just an ideal. In fact, in Year 4, Ubisoft began to face challenges in designing new operators. Now there are already 54 operators and it's getting increasingly difficult to design new ones. This caused the addition of new operators to slow down. So what went wrong exactly? First, the operator styles. Let's look at the classic operator styles. A non-player with some military knowledge could easily determine which country they are based in, especially Capcom. However now, it's hard to guess which country these new operators are from, especially Year 4's operators like Goyo. If I've never played Rainbow Six, I might think he's someone from Cambodia or Vietnam. The style of new operators is a small problem. We can't blame Ubisoft for this, as most special forces are just dressed in the same style. However, the characters in the game ought to be distinguishable from one another. Thus, distancing the operators from reality by unique features is understandable. Or else, if they were to follow reality, a majority of them would be uninteresting, just like the new operators. So the element of sci-fi is really not this game's problem. One of the classic operators, Thatcher's EMP, is a sci-fi equipment. But why didn't anyone complain about this? That's because the EMP matches Thatcher's character. As an operator who had played a part in the SAS and Falklands War, Thatcher has an impressive record and honed expertise. Unlike the operators who rely on various electronics, he would rather believe in his battle abilities and combat instinct to complete his missions. Thus, his ability is an EMP grenade, which can destroy and intercept electronics. Not only will this kind of design appear natural, what Thatcher says seems to make sense too. Therefore, the sci-fi ability would not seem exaggerated. As for the other operator sci-fi equipment, they can well represent where weaponry will develop in the future. Just like how there were many weird weapons during the First World War, after numerous experiments on the battlefield, those which are useful will be kept and further improved. After all, most cutting-edge technologies were first used in military affairs, and belonging to the world's best counter-terrorism unit, using such futuristic technology makes sense. Apart from high-tech equipment, there is also another classic example, Caveira. Caveira's ability allows her to incapacitate her target discreetly and conduct an interrogation. Although it sounds mystical, I think this is well designed. Caveira came from a poor neighborhood in São Paulo. She later joined BOA, an extremely violent law enforcement agency. That's why she uses self-made silencers and knives. Also conducting interrogations complied with the character and guaranteed her playability. Therefore, the reason why everyone thinks Rainbow Six is getting increasingly absurd is not because of the sci-fi element, but rather the incompatibility of the operators' abilities to their characters and to the game style. Where does this incompatibility appear? The more serious ones are Gridlock, Mozzie, Kite, Kali, and Wamai. You can imagine giving their abilities to other operators and it might still work out. On the contrary, Tachanka is highly compatible with his mounted LMG. If you were to give his mounted LMG to another operator, it would be weird. Why does this happen? I think it's because for these operators, the abilities are first thought out before the characters. Of course, this problem appears in other operators too, but they are still justifiable. Operator Wamai has the most serious problem. Although he's an African man from Kenya with good diving skills, he throws an adhesive gadget. This has nothing to do with your diving skills and how you are from Kenya. To avoid such incompatibility, Ubisoft decided to go on creating worldviews for Rainbow Six. They promoted Mira to the research director position, basically an Iran girl. If the new operators have no equipment, no worries. Mira will get them for you, and you'll have to make use of them. Who cares where you're from and what's your backstory? This is why the new operators' equipment and abilities are either made or improved by Mira. The abilities are too exaggerated. This was done by Mira, not Ubisoft's fault. And worse still, things get incompatible with the game style. For example, the new operator can use their own HP to break through walls. I think this is a terrible design because Rainbow Six Siege is a counter-terrorism tactical game. A few high-tech equipment won't go beyond this frame, nor will it be incompatible with the game style. Who knows if armies can truly use such equipment in the future? But having soldiers to hurt themselves to break through obstacles? Oh wait, you are unaffiliated, right? Well, never mind. Oh, Ubisoft.
你他娘的还真是个天才
Why can there be so many new champions in League of Legends? Because there's only one map in mobile games. As long as they can ensure the map's balance, there shouldn't be a problem. The underlying architecture of LoL allows it to continuously add in new champions without greatly affecting the game. However, Rainbow Six cannot do this. A symmetrical map would be unrealistic and weird. As such, it'll only get harder to update the game because some maps are not fair. You all know which maps I'm talking about. This caused the old maps to be continuously overhauled. Then, with the addition of the new operator's abilities, it'll once again destroy the map's balance. Moreover, it's not just a casual game, it wants to have its place in esports. To do so, the game's balance is key. If the game is unfair, who would want to compete with you? For the past few years, getting esports the game has been changed a few times. It's caused the casual players to complain. Why does CS, also an EPS game, last for such a long time? This is because the game's core design is very simple. The gun can solve everything. It doesn't have Rainbow Six's vehicles, wall reinforcements, vertical attacks, etc. Thus, there aren't a lot of problems. Therefore, Rainbow Six Siege's complicated core design led to its emergence but also limited its development. The design of every new operator's abilities are too strong and too exaggerated. But because they still want to get into esports, the games become too reserved and players don't find it interesting anymore. I think Rainbow Six Siege is a good game, but if they want to make it last, they have to make changes to the game's core elements. Fortunately, Ubisoft also discovered this problem. Thus this year, they plan to first solve the problem of the game's map's balance, then slow down the addition of new operators and weapons while improving the game's content. From next year onward, they'll overhaul the core gameplay of the game. But this will be difficult. Some may ask, what does core gameplay even mean here? Let me draw an analogy. If League of Legends were to change their core gameplay, how would it be? Destroying the Nexus may no longer decide the outcome of the game, or another tower may be added. Well, I don't know how Rainbow Six Siege will be changed, and I think Ubisoft is unsure as well, hence the delay in changing it. After all, this is likely to turn the game into a new game, instead of adding something new into its foundation like before. Will the old players accept it? Will the new players enjoy it? We don't know. If they don't make a change, the game might lose its relevance. If they don't change it well, the game might just be ruined. Only by solving the game's essential problems while retaining its original features can this game go further. Ubisoft saved Rainbow Six Siege once, so I believe they can do it again. It's truly a good game and I hope it can go further than this. Finally, I'll talk about the Rainbow Six episode. After all, I can only make episodes out of the game's updates. Now that its updates are being slowed down and the content has become fictionalized, new episodes may be released less frequently. After all, there's no point in forcefully making something up and updating for the sake of updating. I'll insist on quality content for the Not Just Game series, so I hope you guys can understand. Of course, I'll still talk about elite skins and I'll release the video soon. Thanks for watching this episode of Not Just Games. If you like this video, please click the subscribe button. I'm Joey and I'll see you next time.
Do you wish you could do it over?
There is always next year.
Really? Next year?
Absolutely. I will be here.